This video will explain about the functional component. This is a React application. Let's create a one separate file for the application. Let's example counter app.js. This is a one JS file. Inside the JS file, I'm going to create a functional component. Before going to that, I want to explain the what is the functional component. So let's the functional component is a uh, JavaScript function that is written the JSX element. Okay, so let's say let's write something. What are the key features of functional component? Uh, yeah, functional component. Okay, so what is the functional component, guys? The functional component is this is a way of using the functional component. We to create a component in the React. So write a component in the React that is reusable component. Okay, it's a JavaScript function. It's a JavaScript function that returns that returns a JSX code. Okay, so what is the JSX is JavaScript XML. Okay, so JavaScript XML. Okay, so this simple function. Okay, this is previously before hooks. This is a stateless component. Okay, so we have the stateless and stateful. Previously before hooks, this called as a stateless component. But after hooks, it support the stateful and stateless also. Okay, so our stateless earlier only class component to manage the state. In the before that, in earlier, the functional components were stateless. Okay, and only the class components were components could manage the state. Could manage state. Okay, but with introduction of React hooks. So like use state and use effect. Okay, use effect. The functional components can now can now be state stateful and manage the stateful. Okay, the syntax of the simple syntax. It's like a functional component. It's like a simple JavaScript function. In the functional component, there is no this keyword. Okay, so the class component use the this keyword, but functional component don't require the this keyword. Okay, the coming to the performance wise, functional component are of slightly faster because of they don't have any overhead of managing the class instance. Okay, so based on all the aspects, I suggest that to create any component with functional. Okay, so now let's create a one com, small component that is help of I will explain with help of the counter application. Okay, so let's create a one counter application. That counter application in that application, I will explain the uh, the state and the functional component and along with the material UI component. Okay, let's create a functional component. Generally, the functional component will start with a function keyword. Okay, so but there is a two ways is that create a functional component. Either you can use the function keyword or else you can use the arrow function. So before going to that, let's import the okay React. Okay, from the React, and as well as if you want to use the state, the functional component, we can import the use state also. Okay, so the first point is we need to import the React, and second point is so create a component. That component name is counter app. Okay, the counter app is the simple JavaScript function. This is a function, this is one component, but as per the statement, this is a JavaScript function but returns the JSX code. Okay, so we need to use the return keyword. Help of the return keyword in the braces, we'll use the JSX, JavaScript XML. Okay, so let's use the div tag, the simple. This is a way of creating the simple JavaScript function component of JavaScript function. This is the functional component. So in the same thing, we can use the same function. We can use the after creating the function. Yeah, we need to export and default the counter app. Okay, the counter. Yeah. So this is way of creating the component, and this is way of export the component. What is the purpose of export? Because of this component, wherever you want to use, you have to import that component, then that class, and use the particular component. Okay, that's why we are exporting this one. Okay, so see for now, okay, the same thing I will write with constant, like write with arrow function, right? Like simple the app counter app arrow function, the syntax, right? Parenthesis arrow and the braces, and use the return keyword, and it also we have to return the JSX. Okay, returns the JSX, and this is, and next one is just export default counter app. Okay, so here why getting the error? So the same name is there. So either this way or either this way we can create a functional component, but I suggest the this approach, arrow function. That's why I commented this code. If you want that, you can create a component with a function keyword, or else if you don't want, you can create a component like this with the arrow function. Okay, and now next one is, so I want to create a counter app. Like what is the main thing of counter app is, so what is the, so I have to create a one button for the minus plus, one button for the plus, and one is for the display the counter value, display counter value. So for this, so we need to display the one value in the counter app, and one is the action, that is a button. Okay, this is also another button. For this I need to depend on the design. Okay, so see, we can use the default HTML tag to achieve the counter application, but instead of that I will use the material UI library. Okay, I didn't use the HTML thing in the React application, but I want to depend on the material UI component. Okay, what is the material UI? That is a React library, mui.com. So go to the mui.com, and now you can use, click on the material UI. So it's a get started. Okay, so when I click on the get started, there is a overview is there. What is the material UI, what is the introduction, what are the benefits, okay, how to use this, and these are the things is there in the material UI overview. And come to the installation, so we have to install like three ways: npm, pnpm, and so now I copy this one, I copy this line. So because of I want to use the material UI to help of to create the material to counter application. For the counter application, we require the plus minus button and visible. the counter value. Three components are required. Those component I will get it from the material UI. If I want to get it from the material UI, I need to install this package. Okay, so if you go to this and go to the package.json, there is no material UI component is not available because we are not installed that. If you already installed, ignore that. If you not install, just to copy and paste this command and install it and run it. Npm install material UI. So once install, see those components are added. You can see here. Okay, material layer. So one part is done, and go to our file. What is the file name is counter.app.js. Here I want to import the material layer. So as per my requirement, I want to import the few things from the material layer. Those are the buttons, okay, from material layer, comma, typography. Typography is kind of a H1 or H tag kind of thing, like display the content, and you can use the typography. You can use the, okay, it's like a paragraph. In the using the p tag, we display the some content on the screen, right? Instead of the display the content, we can use the typography. And other one is required the box. The box is a one component to it's kind of a container. This is a one it's kind of container. Okay, so these three I import from the material UI. Next come to the code. Okay, inside the div tag I will remove the div tag. Okay, I didn't use a div tag. Okay, I will use the box. I will use the box. So okay, so box. Okay, so inside the box we'll create a few things. Okay, so first one is two buttons, right? One is that increment, one is for the decrement, right? So for this I want to create a two components. Okay, one is for the button. Okay, another one also the button, the two buttons. So one button is for the plus. Okay, so one is for the plus, one is for the minus. Okay, so two buttons, but inside the button there is a properties there. Okay, so the property, so how can you know this one? Okay, if you don't know how to use this, just remove this one. Go to the material layer component. So which component we required? In this component we required the button component, right? In this button component directly we can copy from there and display there. Okay, so now, so there is a three types of button is there. This is one code, this is one code, this is one code. Okay, I want a button like this. Okay, that's the middle one. Just to copy this one and paste into the inside the box, similar like this inside the box. Instead of this container, increment. Okay, and minus, or else you can use text increment, increment, and write decrement. The two buttons is display here, but how will display the counter value on the screen? Okay, use the typography, right? Now we can see where is the typography, like, or else you didn't find here, just you have to set the in the top. Okay, what are the things? Typography. You see the typography, if you click on the typography, it will display like this. See, you can, now we can see typography. Okay, so this is way of using the typography. Okay, we can use like if you want to display like a H1 or H2 or whatever it is. Okay, like just use the typography like this. Okay, so this is a typography, and where is the code? um, let's write like this only. So after the between, okay, and required in the between, so typography. So in the typography I want to display some content inside the, sorry, typography, right? Typography, yeah, sorry, typography. So inside the typography I want to display something. Initial I will put a 0. This is only design. Okay, this is a simple function component. The function component returns the JSX. Inside that, one button, one typography, another button. This button for the increment, this button for the decrement. Okay, So in this button, we need to write on click action. Okay, so how it will write on click action we'll discuss later. First, this component are we created. Okay, till now is okay, right, everyone? Okay, so till now is okay. So now this component I want to load somewhere. Where can I load? So directly we can use app.js. If you want to load, you can load directly here. Before that, so if you want to use any component inside the other file, we need to import the first. What is the import? What is the import? What is the component name or component counter app? That's it. So directly it's import the component, and instead of here, so just write like counter app. Okay, counter app. So initially it's load the app component only, app function component. Inside the function, I want to use our component. What is our component name is the counter app. That's it. This is way of using the functional component. Okay. So not required to end tag, like we can use like this. Okay. Hope it's clear, everyone. This increment and this is a decrement. So inside the app, initially application index.js, it's load the app app component. Inside the app component, I'm going to load our component. This is our component. Our component is counter app. Where it is created in this file, we design the screen. Based on the design, it display on the screen. Okay, this is the design of the simple functional component creation and design, and so using this component into other file. Okay, we need to create two methods or two functions again inside this. When I click on the button, increment the value and decrement the, when I click on this button, decrement the value. For this, I'm going to create another function, constant. Okay, increment, everything is arrow function. Okay, this is arrow function. Okay, this is increment function. Okay, and the constant, let's use a decrement. So the function name should start with a small decrement and parenthesis arrow symbol. This is, so this is the increment and decrement, the two method. Okay, so when it's called, because of, see, this is a, it's not it's kind of visible, it's a gray out like this because of we are not use this function. So where can you use that function? So in the button action, in the button, okay, this is button, right? In the button there is a one property called on click. Okay, one property called on click. So inside the on click will pass the increment. See, this is way of calling this function. Now, similar like this, copy this one, the inside the second button and implement and decrement. Okay, so increment two methods we call inside the on click. Okay, so that is a done. What is the next? What is the next is, so once increment or decrement, we need to increment the one special one value, but that value we need to store somewhere. Where can you store? Using the use state will store the value. Okay, so how to create a variable? Okay, constant. Okay, value, this is a getter, counter, this is a setter, set counter. Okay, set counter, we can write any name. Okay, set counter constant equal to initially use state, initially the value is 0. Okay, this is the state variable, state with initial value 0. Okay, the state with initial value 0. Here is, this is a getter. Wherever you want read the value, use this value counter. Wherever you update the value, use the set counter. Okay, simple. Okay, where you want to use counter value, inside the typography, right? So how to use the variable inside the JavaScript XML? Just use the parentheses, curly braces. Inside the curly braces, use the our variable like this. Okay, so initially counter value 0, right? If you give the 10, that will display on here. See, you can see here. So that meaning is this variable we are using inside the typography. What is the next? So here when we increment, we need to increment this value, right? Initially 0. Simple. See guys, keep in mind in the use state there are two parts. This is a getter, this is a setter. Keep in mind, very very important guys. This is a getter, this is a setter. Getter means to just wherever you want, just if you want to read the value, use this property. But if you want to modify the value, use this one. Okay, left side is getter, right side is setter. Left side wherever you want to use. See here I want to display just only I want to use this just read purpose, use the counter value. But if you in the increment or decrement, if you want to increment the value, that means you have to set the new value, right? Use the set counter. Okay, wherever you set counter, set counter. So counter value plus counter value plus 1. Okay, this is a set counter. Clear? This is a set counter with a minus plus value. Again, increment also set counter minus 1. Okay, there are two ways. Okay, this name is coming from here. Okay, if you change like set counter value, for example. Okay, we have to change here also. Got it right? This is for set like this. Okay, hope is clear. Okay, so we have some warnings in the below in app.js. We can ignore now. So now see the increment is there and decrement is there. Okay, let's see value is incremented, right? Value is decremented, right? See how in the functional component will achieve the design along with the state management help of the use state. Help of the use state. This is about the functional component. This is about the functional component. Help of the functional component will implemented the increment and decrement. Increment and decrement.